for sure.
Every voice, every dream, we light the way with words of power, hearts arise. The art of encouragement shines. So leaning close, the journey starts. A moment of truth, a shift in heart. Together we rise, together we stand. With courage and love, we change the land. Bringing hope, inspiring change. Every voice, every dream, we light the way with words of power.
Hey, Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Nick. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, well, I guess good afternoon. It depends on where we are,
Yes.
right?
Yes, certainly is. Where some people watch us before they go to bed, and we have such a soothing voice and presence that calms them down. So that's also an encouragement.
Absolutely. Well, it's wonderful seeing you today. I know that
Likewise.
we've had some technical difficulties. Even my body's had some technical difficulties this last week. I showed you I'm like the bionic man here. I've got my heart monitor on, so there's no need to worry, guys. Just like the Tin Man, we're seeing if I do have a heart or not.
Of course, you have a heart. Everyone does. We just
Yes.
have to be tender to each other, to everyone
That's it.
in our world. And I think we forget. I think we're so distracted by life. What's the solution? Put the phone down and look at the person right in front of you. That's my solution.
That's it. And I think that it's so important for us to remember that there's not one person that we look at, and this is one of the things I absolutely love, this illustration, Mark. There's not one person we encounter ever that God doesn't love. And when we look into someone else's face, that's the face of someone that at one point was a baby and had done no wrong, had no bias imprinted on them, and they were the hope. And here's the thing, they still can be. Will we allow people to change as we serve them? Will we allow them to be who they were supposed to be? And it's important for us to realize that we are on a journey. It's with each other, and we're supposed to help each other along the way. What does service mean to you, Mark?
It's a topic of today's conversation. I love it. I think service is something that we give a part of ourselves, to somebody else. If we give, and it doesn't have to be enormous or gigantic. It could be something very real. I think service starts in the family. If you have a family, I think this is where you work on that service muscle before you can serve the society at whole. Serve in your family. What can you do to make the life of the people in your family better? Ask yourself that question every day. And if you don't have a family yet, work towards it if you can. That's my thoughts. I'm open to your thoughts, my friend, as well.
I would say that for me, encouraging through service involves getting myself out of the way. It involves just laying aside my own ego. It involves laying aside my own objectives. Sometimes I may go into a certain situation with almost, hyper focused. This is what I want to accomplish. And I'm blind to see that someone's hurting, or I'm blind to see that someone maybe needs a basic necessity, or maybe it's not so basic. Maybe they just need someone to talk to. And often in my own busyness, I disregard their basic need. And when we disregard each other, especially if we're intentionally trying to encourage others, we miss the whole point. And so I would say that in service to others, it's really seeing people where they are, accepting them where they are, and with love and compassion, regardless of religious background or religious ideology or even political ideology. It's important to recognize when we can affect change in that other person's life. Perhaps it's by just affirming them. Some people haven't been affirmed in such a long time that they've forgotten who they are. They've forgotten their strengths because maybe they're always belittled. And an act of service doesn't have to be a grandiose act. Instead, it can be an act that is as simple as saying, I see you, I hear you, and you are worth it.
Yeah, this week I have been listening to one of my favorite strategists, Tony Robbins.
Yes.
He says he's been affecting change and serving people for the last 48 years. 48 years. Last 48 years. All around the globe. He's an entrepreneur, writer, speaker, coach, father, husband, son. And he is my role model and has been for a long time. And I just love the way he teaches. He teaches the same thing over and over and over and over, and people still love it. And you know what he says? He's there to serve. He's there to serve others. He's serving the meals to people who can't afford one. So he does a lot of service all throughout the world, and I believe him. If you want to be successful as an entrepreneur, you got to serve. You got to serve your clients better than anybody else. Focus on results, and I love it. That it's not just because Tony Robbins has said that. I believe that we are here to serve. We're here to serve others. It's not just about us. I think this is what makes. If you don't want to be a failure in your life, you don't want to come to the whatever point in your life and say, well, this has been failure. Is focus on serving others, and then you'll never be a failure, no matter what.
James Keller said, a candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. Think about that spark. It doesn't diminish the wax in the other candle. Instead, that spark just keeps it brings to life the one candle. Who can you share your light with this week?
And stay around positive people. Stay around, and if you can't, stay around sources of positivity.
Yes.
And that's you can do it. And just because you had one bad experience doesn't mean that's you have this imprinted for the rest of your life. It's just one experience at that one point in time, at that one point in circumstance. Let it go. Continue serving. Continue showing up. And I believe this is how you find your purpose, through service. If people are saying, "Oh, I don't know what to do. I'm lost," or "I'm overwhelmed," my number one. Well, actually, I say two things. I say, take it easy. Don't be so hard on yourself, number one. And number two, continue serving. Continue searching and continue serving. And that's another thing. People are feeling guilty. Don't you think? People feel guilty about everything. And when they say guilty, they feel ashamed. They feel ashamed that they're not enough. They feel guilty for whatever reason. Everyone has their own And if you're listening right now to us, maybe this is your message. Um, Learn to let go of the guilt and shame, and let go, whatever that takes. Spit it out, throw it out, burn it. It's not yours. It's not yours to carry.
And and Mark, I would say too that when we serve others, we can shift our own mindsets from one of scarcity to abundance. Think about that. How can we do that? How does serving others shift our mindset in that way? Um, that's what's so important for us to remember. But how we see resources, how we see opportunities, and even our own capacity to give is affected. It moves us from having from not enough to more than enough. And when we focus on scarcity, we think there's never enough time, enough money, enough love even. But when we serve, we realize that giving doesn't deplete us, it expands us. Mother Teresa, I had a quote up of hers. Let me find it. I got going preaching mode there. Mother Teresa said, "Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love." And Muhammad Ali said, "Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth." And finally, one of my favorite people of all time is Albert Einstein. And for him to weigh in on this subject really shows how important it is. He said, "Only a life lived for others is a life worthwhile."
I believe it. I believe it. And if you're watching us right now, leave us a comment. Leave us a comment about
Right
service.
now,
Yeah, what does it mean? What does it mean for you?
how do you
Have you
serve
been?
others?
Yeah, have you had a chance to serve someone today? How about this week? This month? Has someone served? Been of service to you? Recognize that. And I think this is what it's about.
If you're a musician,
Go ahead.
play for a hospital, play for a retirement home, play for a nonprofit event without expecting a dollar. I often do that, and some of those are the most rewarding times that I have. If you're a writer, craft someone struggling, maybe a resume or a cover letter for a new job. If you've got business experience, and Mark and I do this all the time. We mentor people, young entrepreneurs, or someone trying to rebuild their lives. And often it's without expecting a dollar, and that's the way it's supposed to be, because we will get our reward, we will get our return, and without expecting anything in return is the name of the game. What you do for others should not be based on what they can do for you.
You know, have you seen this movie, The Gladiator?
I have. That's one of my favorites.
It's written well. Um, Perhaps it got some special awards. Russell Crowe was excellent in it. And that Gladiator inspired so many people. Just the way it's been presented, story as old as time, revenge. And this Gladiator, right? I forgot his full name. He was of service to others. Even when he couldn't serve, he was of service to others. Other people who were also gladiators, and such a well-written script. Sometimes I think about it; it's just such a genius. And all of the great movies, think about it. There's a big element of service to others, don't you think?
Absolutely. You don't mean, "My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix legions, loyal servant to the emperor."
Yeah, this is probably one of the greatest speeches that we have seen the last 20 years in the
Oh,
cinema.
I mean, when you go, father to a murdered son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next. He's all about it.
It's all about it. But even he was serving, like people in his command, serving people who are above him. I think that's
Mhm.
what it is. If you want to be a man, since we're talking about this movie, you want to be a person of service, be of service to others. You will never, ever, ever go wrong. Um, some people measure their lives in dollars spent or earned. What if we measured our life in services, you know, given, or services performed, or services shared?
To a greater cause.
Yeah, and it's true. I mean, yeah, you have to make a living and
That's
support your
it.
family, but outside of that, why not help? Because I feel that there's always a younger generation who's always watching, and they thinking, "Huh, this person did it. Um, I can do it." It's not just all about the money. It's not just all about the wealth. I think it's about the legacy we build. So that's a great topic, and I hope it sparks a conversation. Our respected and our dear subscribers and listeners. Yeah, thank you. Let us know what you think about being of service.
Absolutely. You know, scarcity tells us to hoard, to protect, and to play small, to play it safe. Service shows us that when we pour out ourselves, that we are refilled in ways that we never even imagined. And we don't lose when we serve. That's the key. We never lose when we serve. Instead, we gain way more than we give. And if you're watching, you're listening today, I encourage you to serve well. To serve well. You know that there are needs in your circle. I always say your friends, your relatives, acquaintances, and your neighbors, that they need you. There's something you can do that no one else really can, because they know you, they trust you already. Be there for them. Be there for them, and be fully present when you're with them. Put the phone down, as Mark said. Put the emails to the side, and be fully present, because it says, I sent out this year at Christmas, I said, your presence is a present. If you want your presence to be a present, be available to them, fully available, and don't let them down. Don't let them down.
You give me a lot to think about today, Nick. These sessions are always self exploration plus discussion. So thank you for being here. I know you had a rough week, but you had
did.
also a great highlight, right? You went to
I
TEDx,
did.
and can you just tell us about your experience there?
I had a wonderful time. We met last Friday as I was on my way to Eustis. I got there, had a magical time that Friday. I woke up, I wasn't feeling so well Saturday, unfortunately, but I powered through. I had to use my cane a bit. And then it was in 23 minutes. We touched the instruments for the first time. We learned a song. I adapted it because the one I'd written was a little bit more complex than we would have been able to master in that amount of time with that particular instrument. And we gave it words, actually. And not only did we give it words, but we also performed it on the TEDx stage, and it was beautiful. So it was called Unravel, and it was fantastic. But
I'm
thank you
so
so
glad.
much, Mark, and I'm looking forward to all that comes with that in the future.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, everyone.
See you later.